Hey y'all, my name's Seth Packan, and this is Podunk Perspective, a podcast based on the Podunk Perspective. Podunk Perspective, we are back with my man, Rob Stone.
What's up?
Rob, thank you so much for joining.
Of course.
I appreciate it so much.
Appreciate the invite, man.
So, you flew in from the great state of Michigan.
Yes, sir.
You are a radio host up in Michigan, also artist. You do a lot of things. Tell us how you got into radio from the get-go.
Well, so you guys asked when I walked in, how long have I been in radio? And my first answer was forever. It feels like it anyways. But yeah, I graduated from Michigan State University in 2008. And I was actually going to school. Well, I started my first on-air gig while I was still in school. So I was going to school in the morning, and then I was on air at night at a station in Lansing, Michigan called, it was WITL. We called it Whittle Country.
Sweet.
But yeah, that was my...
What were some of the artists you were playing at that time?
Oh, gosh. I mean, okay, so 2008, I guess the first artist in like song, for whatever reason, that comes to my mind, if I put myself back in 2008.
Yep.
Gary Allan, Watching Airplanes.
Love it. I love that
Classic.
song. Great song.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Kenny Chesney, and I feel like Carrie was... I remember meeting Carrie Underwood when she was just fresh out of...
Was Rodney Atkins.
American Idol, yeah. Rodney Atkins.
Yeah.
Chris Cagle.
Yep. Trace Adkins.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them I feel like that are still doing it.
Yeah. So were you always in the country, like getting into radio? Like that was always your plan to do country music in radio?
It wasn't my... I didn't like set out to work in country radio while I was in school. I mean, growing up, I listened to it when I was a kid, in the 90s. Obviously I listened to a lot of Alan Jackson.
Yep.
Garth Brooks and all that was huge at that time. I remember just hearing it on the bus to school. But as I got a little bit older, I actually really got into it was more rock.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff classic rock stuff that my parents were listening to. A lot of Detroit artists like Bob Seger,
Rock City, baby.
Yeah, Ted Nugent, Kid Rock obviously was being from our hometown. We kind of all...
Yeah, so you grew up a town over from me, basically. I grew up in Romeo. You grew up... Or were you in Romeo?
So I was from our address where I grew up was Romeo, but I went to Elmont High School.
Yes, correct.
So... It's funny, all my friends from Elmont are always like, why do you say you're from Romeo? You just say that because Kid Rock's from there. And I'm like, well, dude, I was like, you look at my address, it's Romeo. But yeah, so I always say Romeo Elmont. When people ask where I'm from, I'm like, Romeo Elmont. It's like, both the same thing.
Yeah, no, when I'm down here and people ask me, oh, where are you from in Michigan? Oh, I'm like 45 minutes north of Detroit where Kid Rock grew up, went to high school.
I know, I totally forgot that you told me that. A few years ago,
yes, sir.
When we were chatting
at Lucchese.
Yeah. So yeah, we got that thing in common.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, it's wild, and it's wild that how we both kind of ended up here, country music scene, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to you, dude. I think that's cool. That's pretty wild.
It's weird to me when I hear people say that now. They're like, I grew up listening to you. I'm like, oh, dude, am I that old?
Oh, no. But hey.
No, I have been doing it for a long time. I mean, I've been, like I said, since 2008. And then I've been at WYCD in Detroit since 2012.
Yep.
So... That's a long time.
Where did the passion of that radio end come from?
I just always wanted to be involved in music somehow. I knew that. Like I said, growing up, I was hearing a lot of that stuff that my parents were playing, and I think it was just always soaking in, whether I knew it or not. Yeah. Jimi Hendrix was probably like my first idol musically when I was a young kid. And I begged my parents to get me a guitar for the longest time. And I think I was 14. I remember one Christmas they surprised me and got me an electric guitar for Christmas. And so it's always just been a big passion for music. And when I got to Michigan State, it's funny because I remember asking them, like, what can I do? Or, what's the options to go to school for something involved with music? And initially they were like, well, you can be a music teacher, or you can go for music performance. And my thought was, well, I don't want to be a teacher. And I don't think you go to a 4-year school to be a rock star.
It's not like Nashville where they have all these programs at schools up in Michigan for radio or music in general.
Yeah, so then I just kind of was like, well, I guess I'll just do general classes for a while till I figure this thing out. Ended up in construction management for a while just because that was like the only thing that made sense to me.
Yeah.
And then I had a communications class required for construction management, and that was the first time I had been in that building. Yeah. I was probably a junior at that time, or sophomore. I don't remember, something like that. But I remember walking in this building and seeing recording studio, radio studio, TV studio. I'm looking around just going like, why didn't anybody tell me about this place? This is it.
Yeah.
And I sat there in that class, and all I could think about was, what am I going to do here in this building? And I went back to my condo and did some research, changed my major that day, and it was like history from there. I knew that I wanted to be involved in radio, in TV, with music. Right. So
how did you get your connection into the radio station you're at today?
So when I was working in Lansing for a few years, and then that station got bought by another radio group, and then I was kind of off looking for something new. I did some TV sales for a minute to get by. Worked with my dad in Romeo. He owned a shop in Romeo doing tool and die and like automotive production parts.
Yeah, that's huge. So up Michigan.
Running I ran the plastic machine for a while. And I think that, that was the injection mold machine. That was like a big part of why I felt like I wanted to get out and do a little bit more. Like, he had a great business, and it was great for our family growing up, but it just wasn't, I knew it wasn't really for me. And I remember worked with a lot of my aunts and uncles. It was like a family business. And they were always like, if you don't want to be stuck inside this shop, 12 hours a day, go to school, get out there, figure out what you really love. And so, but yeah, I was doing some odd jobs here and there, and I don't remember. I don't remember if somebody connected me with WYCD. I feel like someone had, from the record side, may have passed along my information. Yeah. And just said, hey, Rob was in Lansing. He's looking for a gig. And I saw they had an opening for a weekend on-air position, and I applied. And actually, I'll never forget this too. It was kind of a cool moment because I was here in Nashville. This was 2011. And I was literally I had my resume together. I had my air check, which is, for those who don't know, it's just an example of our work on air. So you can listen.
Your resume, basically.
Yeah. It's like a demo for a song. You're like, you can listen and figure out what we sound like on the air. I was here in Nashville. I was knocking on doors, just trying. And I'm like, this is where I want to be. I want to be in Nashville. I want to work here. I want to be on the radio. And I ended up landing a couple interviews, but nothing came of it. But I was sitting on Broadway at it was Broadway Brew House. Okay. Is it still there? I think it is.
It might be, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I don't know.
I was sitting there with a buddy of mine, and I got a phone call, and I remember the date because it was 11/11/11.
Yep.
Pretty cool moment.
Good luck.
11/11. Yep. That was the date. And this guy, his name's Jack Shell, another radio guy. He just had this huge booming radio voice. And I was so intimidated by it when I get this voicemail because he's like, hey, Rob, we heard your air check and we'd love to talk to you. It's Jack Shell at WYCD in Detroit, Michigan. And I was like, oh, my God.
That's awesome.
Like, this is this is legit. Yeah. Like, this is like your classic legendary sounding radio person. And he's like, we need you to fill out the application right away. And so I'm sitting there at Broadway Brew House on my phone. Surprisingly, in 2011, I had the phones were good enough. Yeah. It sounds ancient. I had an iPhone 4 at that point, I think.
No, I remember.
But I sat there and I filled out the entire application at that bar, and then I ended up meeting with them and getting the gig at where I'm at now. So it was another cool moment where I feel like there's a few big moments that I remember, like, specifically like that throughout my career.
So getting into the radio station, what was one of the first experiences where you were like, wow, this is cool, like I'm doing something sweet?
When I first started, I was doing weekends, so it was just a few hours, like on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. But then I started filling in for Coop, who is another good friend
Yeah.
of ours. So you might
Oh,
know Coop.
Yeah, I've heard.
So Coop was doing nights at WYCD at that time, and I started to fill in for him every once in a while. And we used to do this thing called Thursday Night Live, where we would have an artist come in and play their songs, and I would interview them. And I feel like that was like the first moment of like, whoa, this is super cool. Now I'm doing all the things that I wanted to do. I'm on the radio, and now I'm involved with the artist side because I get to talk to these people and I get to hear their music. So that was kind of the first experience of like, all right, this is pretty fun.
That's cool. So the reason why you're in town, we have country radio seminar going on. You've been to it before, obviously. This is my first year going. I'm pumped. I'm excited. Give us a little insight on what it's like and what you get to experience during country radio seminar.
No sleep. That's there's events going on from probably 6 a.m. until you name it. But it's great. I mean, you get all the industry folks together in a room, from the radio side, from the record side, the artist side. Yeah. And it's really just a great networking event for anyone that wants to get involved in the business. I tell a lot of people, whatever you're looking to do, if it's entertainment in country music, this is the place to be. And I've also, there's other people that have been kind of showing up in mingling too, I've noticed too, which is kind of interesting. Like folks from outside the entertainment industry are just coming out. They're like, hey, I started this business. I think I could help you out. So it's even almost becoming more than just,
like a connection,
Yeah, it's just a big networking
That's awesome.
event. And it's a great way to learn. There's different sessions every single day where we can focus on how do we do better on the air? How do we get better at social media? So, we're always trying to learn and
that's cool.
And get better, and this is where it's at.
Do you guys do interviews while you're there?
Sometimes we do. Yeah. We do have a studio in the Hard Rock now. Okay. It's an Odyssey studio. Yep. So sometimes we'll set up interviews there, and we may. I don't think I have anything set up at this point, but
yeah. So you mentioned Odyssey there. Tell us what Odyssey is, and kind of give us a roundabout what that is.
So Odyssey is the radio group that owns our stations. They own 20 country radio stations across America, and our show is on all of those stations. So that happened in 2020. Our show was syndicated.
That's awesome.
So thank you. Yeah. And now a big part of our time at CRS is working on seeing if there's radio groups outside of our company that need programming. Yep. And so we're working on adding more stations to our roster as well.
Cool. So you have 2 ACM awards. Is that right? Yep. Yeah. How'd you what were those for, and how'd you get nominated for those?
So the first one was for Major Market Personality of the Year, and oh gosh, what year was that? 2016, I want to say. 2016. And I won that with my my co-host Linda Lee. She has since passed away. That was it was a tough. It was very bittersweet because we knew with the radio awards you find out before the show happens. But I grew up listening to her. Yeah. As you grew up listening to me, I grew up listening to Chuck and Linda. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. But they were on in the afternoons, and I grew up listening to her. And after a while at WYCD, I was doing nights. The opportunity came when Chuck went to mornings for me to do afternoons with Linda. So I started working with her for a year or so. And one of the big milestones for her was we celebrated her 20-year anniversary at WYCD. Wow. And all these big artists were calling in and congratulating her. So that was a big part of our air check, I think, that helped us win that year for that ACM award. But I feel so bad because, it was a big dream of hers to win that award. And she passed away when literally when we were flying out to Vegas to accept the award. So it was tough, but I got to go on the national show and pay tribute to her.
That's really cool.
So yeah, it was a pretty incredible moment, but I wish she was there for it. I mean, I know she was obviously in spirit, but yeah, that was, I feel like she's a big reason why my career path has gone the way it has, because I had great people like her to not only, listen to growing up, but to work with her. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty special. And then a few years later, Holly, my current co-host, Holly Hutton, and I won as well. And that one was a little bit anticlimactic because we won, but it was during COVID times, so there was no celebration. Yeah. It was like, I think Kelsey Ballerini did a video and announced it on social media. Sent
you a cameo.
Yeah, I was like, hey, congratulations, Rob and Holly. And then that was it. And then we got the award in the mail a while later. So that, I feel like we're like, okay, we're determined to get some more of these under our belt.
So cool! Congrats to you guys. Thanks. I mean, that's cool. There's a lot of radio stations out there, and
no, it's a huge deal. And just getting nominated for an ACM or a CMA is huge for me. And I think it's very important to submit to those awards, because it is a big deal. There's so many choices when it comes to entertainment and music, and so we're definitely proud of it. And we're hoping to get our first. So we have the two that you mentioned were for major market. So that was Detroit. But now that we're on national, we're still shooting for our first national award. But we've been nominated, and I feel like just to be able to be in the same sentence of, folks like Bobby Bones and Cody Allen and like those guys that I look up to in radio, it's really cool to say that we're kind of we're working our way into that room.
No, yeah, Bobby Bones has a cool story. When he first moved here, I heard this on a podcast, or he's told this story before, but when he first moved here, he got a bunch of billboards in town, and he put Bobby Bones Sucks on it. Yeah. So people were like, "Who is this guy?" And then I guess now, in the future, this is what his career's turned into. But I mean, he's one of the biggest personalities, definitely on country radio and stuff. But that's wild that your name does get to be in with names like that. And it's cool. It's cool to see the Made in Detroit get people, there.
Thanks, man. I think that's a big part of it is like just that Midwest mentality.
People don't get how big, country music is in Michigan, It's
it's blue collar, hard working. We were taught to not be afraid to get your hands dirty and get to work, and
especially with country rock now, you have all these different avenues of country. It's bigger than ever, I feel like, in Michigan. Yeah. Detroit in general.
Not a lot of people that aren't from there think that. I think everyone, when they hear Detroit, they're like, there's no country. But I mean, guys, you get a few minutes outside of downtown Detroit and it's country. Yeah. Michigan redneck is a thing. That's what. Yeah.
It was recently, you just hosted like a writer's round in Detroit, right? What's that called again? The 10-man.
Oh, 10-man jam?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like what that is and who you guys had on.
So 10-man jam is a big event, and that's one of the events that we love the most because it's our event with WYCD, and it's like the only way in is to win tickets, and it's where, like you mentioned, kind of like a writer's round, and for those who don't know, it's more broken down acoustic. Yep. Where you get the artist playing a song and maybe telling a little bit more of a story behind it.
It's more originals, whether it's the artist that cut it or, a different artist maybe,
right. Right. So, I mean, I think it's cool because it's just a unique experience to get that many people on the same stage. So, 5 acts at a time. Joe Nichols was one of the main acts. And we try to always kind of get someone who's been around a little bit, like Joe Nichols, and then also bring in some newer artists as well. So like from Joe Nichols to Bryce Leatherwood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those were some of the acts that played. And I think it's cool for artists and fans. Like if you're Bryce Leatherwood and you're kind of new to the scene, but you're sitting there in front of this sold out crowd, sitting next to Joe Nichols and going back and forth playing your songs. I mean, how cool is that for those who are watching and you as the artist?
You guys do a great job hosting that, bringing in the artists. Do you get to pick that? Like, is it you guys doing the reaching out with that event, or how does that work?
I'm not involved in booking the acts.
Yeah, you're just more the host for the event itself.
Yeah. We normally, we'll do interviews.
That's awesome.
And we'll host. But yeah, I feel like it was one of the.
Yeah, I remember I got to go a few years back before I moved here, and it was Hardy, Lainey Wilson, Parker McCollum, and I think Hardy played God's Country.
Did we crush that 10-man jam then? Hardy, Lady Wills, like
it was kill, and there were more like great acts too on that lineup.
Well, it's funny because when you look back, that's kind of how that's the cool thing about that event too. Yeah, is a lot of the artists that are kind of on the way up. It could be a year, maybe they're not that popular, but a year later, you're like, that's the biggest artist in the world right now. Yeah. So it's cool to look back and go. Yeah. Hey, we brought them in when like not a whole lot of people knew, and it's just cool to see the trajectory.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's really cool. So, along with doing radio, you're an artist as well. You have some music out. So you said growing up, you got a guitar, that whole thing. Was that always a goal of yours to put music out and do that as well?
No, I was terrified of it at first, to be honest. Yeah. Like it was just a hobby. Like I enjoyed playing guitar in my room, Yeah. I don't think I was self-conscious. I mean, it was the same with radio. In the beginning. I knew I wanted to be involved in the business, but in the beginning, I didn't want to be. Yeah. Well,
especially where we come from, right? It's like your friends might be giving you a little bit of shit because they're not doing the same shit. They're not used to that stuff or being around them. Like maybe being in Nashville, everyone is so accepting of it. But, living in Michigan, a little bit different, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. No, it's obviously nice to have like people around you encouraging you. And not that I didn't. But I didn't know anyone who was, right? Yes, exactly. So I think that's the harder part is if like, you're here in Nashville and your roommate's like, dude, I'm doing this radio thing or I'm doing this podcast thing. You're like, oh, that's cool, right? Yeah. But like, for me, I was like, I don't know anybody doing this other than like the people that I idolize that seem so far away. Yeah. But in the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be on a microphone. I don't want to be singing and playing. But it just for me, it's all just kind of like a gradual step-by-step thing. Yeah. And I guess, a big part for me for deciding that I wanted to start making my own music is that I have always played and I have such a passion for it. And I kind of, I started writing songs as well, but I just kept them to myself. Yeah. And I felt like at a certain point, like, what good is this doing? Exactly. Just keeping all this to myself. Yeah. I know it's therapeutic for some people. Yeah. But why not maybe help other people too?
And same thing I tell artists all the time down there, it can sit in a book and people can never hear it, or it can be out there and it can make you pennies or it can make you millions, at least it's making you something, and people get to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, I think a big part of it was like doing, interviewing the artists and then going to all these shows. And I just kind of kept having this feeling of like, I should be doing that. Yeah. Like I should be doing that too. I know I'm on this side, but like I want to be on the other side as well. So I had a buddy of mine that kind of knew I had been trying to push myself a little more, even though I was terrified of it. But he was playing a gig at you ever go to Coyote Joe's?
Yes, absolutely.
Of course. Yeah. Everybody knows.
Thursday night.
A buddy of mine, an artist, a local artist, but he did his rounds in Nashville too, David Shelby. He's like, "Hey, why don't you come open for me at Coyote Joe's?" Yep. And I was like, I don't know, dude. I don't think so. I don't think I'm ready. He's like, "Come on. I know you've been wanting to do it. Just do it." And I'm like, "All right." And I'm like, I had 2 weeks, not that I wasn't already playing and doing the thing, but I was just like, I'm like, that's only 2 weeks away.
The nerves started kicking in a little bit.
So I'm like, all right, I got 2 weeks to prepare for this thing. And I did it. And I just felt like that was, just one more stepping stone of like getting over the hump of the insecurities or whatever it was. But
did you have family come out to the show?
Oh
and
yeah.
everything?
Yeah. Pretty much all my family and friends came out. It was cool. They made signs and like.
Yeah. Well, did you do covers or was it more just originals?
It was probably 50-50 at that point.
What was like your favorite cover to do?
My go-to is Can't You See?
Yep.
Marshall Tucker.
Yep.
That's probably the go-to cover. But recently I've really been working on originals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, and it's been a while since I put something out, but I really feel like I want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's also the biggest downfall of any artist is that I'm like, the stuff is there, but I'm not ready to put it out yet because I feel like it's not done or it's not right yet.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm learning too is like a song is never done.
Never.
You just have to learn to walk away.
Yeah.
That's
or learn to just cut it.
I forget who told me that. They're like, song is never done. You just have to learn when to walk away.
Yeah.
Because if you try to make it perfect, you'll be making changes forever.
Forever. Yeah. No. That's wild. That's wild. So, doing the artist thing, who are some of your favorite artists to listen to that like you would say that you would maybe either just enjoy listening to or maybe copy some of their style or you like their style, of music?
Country wise or anything?
I mean anything. Yeah, I know. You said you're more of a rock guy, but
I mean, I listen to everything. But yeah, it leans more, or at least it did lean more rock when I was younger. Then once I got into radio, it was like country. I always say, what I kind of say is like country is my life.
Yeah.
But rock is my soul.
Cool.
That's what I like to say. I grew up in the country on a dirt road and live that country lifestyle. Now I'm in the suburbs trying to get back out into the country. But I mean, you mentioned Hardy. I love Hardy.
Yep.
And I love and it's probably because he brought the rock to the country world and he's kind of doing both. I love the old school stuff too. Like we just went and saw Zach Top.
Yeah,
and
he's great.
And that just brings me back to my childhood again.
Yeah.
Like that type of music. So I really like, all different styles. And I think in my music too, you'll hear a lot of different influences in it, especially with this new stuff I'm getting ready to release too. There's going to be some heavy, heavy rock guitars and
I'm excited.
Thanks. Yeah. And there's also going to be some super country sound and stuff too.
Hey, maybe you can come. You can come have a release party down in Nashville.
That'd be sick.
That'd be really cool.
Heck yeah, I'm down.
So, who are some of the most fun interviews you've had? Working with the radio station, and you've worked with Faster Horses in the past, doing interviews with them.
Yeah.
Who are some of the most memorable ones?
Everybody's cool. I mean, that's one of the reasons I feel like I gravitated towards country music as well, is because everyone is so chill and down to earth. And, no matter if you're, let's say like a Blake Shelton, who huge superstar, right? TV, he's done everything. Married to Gwen Stefani.
Yeah. On The Voice.
On The Voice. He does everything. But you sit down and talk to him and it's just like this, just chilling with your boy and having a cool conversation. So Blake is probably one that stands out. Darius Rucker, same thing, like rock star, Hootie and the Blowfish, and then this huge catalog of country hits now. He's super fun to talk to. I don't think there's any. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that
sticks
that
out.
wasn't like
wasn't bad.
Yeah, everyone's cool and fun for the most part.
That's cool. So, Faster Horses isn't happening this year up in Michigan. It's sad for me as just a country fan in general, because that was the best or one of the biggest festivals in Michigan. Yeah,
I honestly, there was rumors going around for a while that it wasn't going to happen, and I'm looking at it going like, how could it not?
Well, the amount of people that show up to that thing, I feel like how? Yeah, exactly how. But Live Nation over there, they know what they're doing, I guess,
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out, what went down, but we're hoping that they're going to do like they said and bring it back next year bigger and better.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, I've been going to Faster Horses since year one.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is what? It was 10, 11 years? This would have been 11 or 12. I forget.
Yeah.
But I think I only missed 1 year out of all of it. There was a year that I got poison ivy or something like all over my entire body.
That's wild.
I literally couldn't go because I was covered head to toe in poison ivy. So I did miss 1 year of Faster Horses, but other than that, we're there every year.
Do you do the full camping thing?
I've done it all. I slept in my truck 1 year in the early years, in the single years. I slept in my truck, slept in a tent. Damn. Slept in. Now the last few years we've been fortunate to work with MIS Camping and had a little upgrade on the stay.
Yeah.
So, and actually now that and I don't know how much I can say because I'm not sure if it's going to happen yet.
Yep.
But we are trying to plan something in that area for that same weekend in place of it since it's not happening.
Ooh.
So I don't know what it's going to be. There's a group of people that are working on it. I told them I'm in as long as we can call it Mini Horses Festival. Because it's going to be a little bit
slower horses,
a little bit of smaller version of it probably, but yeah, that's in the works right now.
Yeah, you'll have to give me the dates as soon as you can. I definitely want to make it up for that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, dude, if we get it confirmed, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Mini Horses Festival.
Yeah. So you're sober. Tell us a little bit about your journey and what you're working on in the future with.
So yeah, the red Solo cup's got some nice water in it.
H2O.
It's drinking is like a big part of the industry, right?
Yes.
Or I mean,
well, people think that. I feel like that's a fan perspective, right?
It kind of feels that way, but I've realized, I guess now that I'm coming up on 3 years of no alcohol.
Congrats.
Thank you. But yeah, it literally just surrounds our entire life like all the time, right? Like whether you're at a kid's birthday party, like people are drinking, or you're at a concert, like people are drinking. And yeah, I mean, I liked to party. I like the atmosphere. I like to go out. I like to you start to getting loose and chatting with people. And I enjoyed it for a long time, but there was just, for me, it was like I didn't have an off switch.
Yeah.
Once I started, there was no stopping. Yeah. I mean, alcohol, they say, is a depressant, but for me, it was like it gave me energy, and I'm like, let's go,
let's go.
And trust, like, dude, I mean, there's aspects of it that I miss, but I just know that for me, I realized that I didn't have an off switch.
Yeah.
Because I kind of, I had a bit of a scary, like, rock bottom moment where I literally woke up in the hospital with alcohol poisoning. And that for me was just enough to go, okay, like, I am a 0 or 100 type of person with a lot of stuff. Like, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And I just realized that was what I needed to make me realize that I got to be 0 with this. Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, I mean, I definitely enjoyed the party, but I enjoyed it too much. And I went home that next day and I went for a walk and I just kind of, had a conversation with God. Mm-hmm. And first of all, I was like, thank you for saving my life, because I literally almost lost it. I mean, they told me at the hospital that when I came in, I had a 50-50 shot at making it. So I'm just so grateful just to be sitting here right now talking to you about it.
Yeah.
And my main mission now, that I've been able to do this now for almost 3 years, and it comes out in songwriting as well. I've written some songs about it. And when I play these songs, every single time I play it, there's at least, one person who comes up and says, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And that inspired me to make a change myself. And I feel like that's the coolest thing in the world. Like, so I was, basically my life was saved. And I feel like now it's my responsibility to help others by just, telling my story or writing songs about it and playing that. But yeah, I mean, I made a commitment. Like I said, I had a conversation with God and I said, hey, I'm never going to do this again. And I called one of my best friends, who I went to Michigan State with, who had been sober for probably, 13, 14 years.
Yep.
And he was one of the first people I told. And he said, his name's Phil. He told me, write down everything that you're feeling right now. He's like, just write it down. Write down what you say you're going to do, because you said you're never going to do it again, right? So he's like, write it down and read it every day.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. I wrote down my commitment, and I called a bunch of family and friends too and told them what happened, because I feel like normally, when you do dumb stuff like that, you try to hide it or play it off like it's no big deal. But I knew
that was such a big step probably for you.
Yeah, I knew it was a huge deal. So I told everybody, and I said, hey, look, I'm not trying to hide it, but this is what I intend to do, and I want your support. And obviously everyone was like, absolutely.
And people, if you didn't tell people, people would be offering you drinks and stuff like that. It's good that you told them, right, straight up, because then it's like they're going to help you, right, move forward and quit that whole thing.
I think the hardest thing about it now is that, like, people always kind of feel bad. They're like, oh, I can't drink around Rob. And I'm like, yes, you can. Like, it's totally fine. I don't think everyone should quit drinking. I don't,
absolutely.
If you can have some drinks and be fine, then heck yeah. Like my wife drinks. Yeah. We got drinks in the house. We're going to have a bar in our basement. Like all that stuff's going to be around. And obviously I know everyone's story is different. Everyone's issues are different. But for me, I just knew it was like, okay, that, party Rob, drinking Rob, that was the previous chapter. And now it's just time to move on to the next chapter. And like, it was very hard, those first few months, because I had a lot of stuff that I was looking forward to that I used to just love. I just got excited to drink at. Faster horses, like bachelor parties, weddings, vacations. I go and do all those events and have to learn how to just do it without
you have
alcohol.
This realization, right, that now you have an event every week or you have an event every day, and it's like, well, I should probably stop here, because it's just like the normal person, shouldn't be doing it every 2 weeks or, maybe once a month, twice a month, it's just to keep your mental fresh. And I would love for you to explain how maybe it's benefited your career, after the sobriety.
I mean, I feel like I'm much more focused, much more energized because I'm not exhausted from a weekend of partying. Yeah, absolutely. Like Monday morning, I'm ready to get stuff done. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing is like, and obviously, especially as you get older, recovering takes a little bit longer.
Yeah. So I've been feeling that recently.
Yeah. There'd be, and that was the cycle I was in. We'd go out and have events and we'd party Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I'd be feeling like shit Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then it's like you have Wednesday, one day of like, all right, I'm feeling good, and then it'd be Thursday, back at it again. So it was kind of it was a vicious cycle, but and like I said, it's an interesting ride, I guess, because there's ups and downs.
You're right.
There's times where like I said, it's like there's times where I miss it, but I just know that like I can never go back to it. Yeah. And I'm not going to, because I made that commitment. And it's funny, I joke because people talk about like raw dogging it on an airplane. That's what they call it, where you just sit there without a phone or like a book or anything. Yep. I'm like, I'm just raw dogging life, dude. No drugs, no alcohol. I'm like, it's difficult to like just have to deal with your emotions.
Right? I get it. It's tough.
As a dude, right?
Yeah.
We're like, we don't emotions. We don't like to mess with those, dude. We just bury them.
Keep them tucked away. Right. Yeah, no. That's wild. So, you said you've been doing radio for how many years now?
Probably since 2008-ish.
Yeah, so...
And maybe even before that, with counting internships, I suppose. So, 07. So, whatever the math is on that, a long time.
I won't say it, but, you know. You got a lot of big things coming up in 2025? Yeah.
I mean, like I said, working on new music, hoping to get some released fairly shortly here. I'm going to be playing a little showcase in Austin, Texas in March during South by Southwest.
Where at?
It's Sanjak Saloon. Cool. So it's called Austin. What is it? Austin Rhythm. Yeah, Austin Rhythm and Roots. It's called, and it's during South by Southwest. So Sanjak Saloon, March 15th, I believe.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that's I'm excited for that one. It'll be the first time I've been to Austin, Texas.
Yeah. I've heard it's a lot like Nashville. That's what a lot of people in Nashville say, you know, like that are from Texas or have been there before that. It's kind of like the up and coming Nashville of Texas.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for that. That's like, and obviously we're going to start booking a bunch of shows around Michigan. I got to play a little set at the Hard Rock for CMA Fest last summer here in Nashville.
Awesome.
So hopefully we can do that.
Have you got to open up for anyone cool?
Yeah. Quite a few national acts when they come through town that we've opened for. Let's see. Most recently was, I want to say, George Burge, Matt Stell, LOCASH, Jameson Rogers. There's been a handful.
Yeah, I love Jameson Rogers. I love George Burge too. Actually, George Burge and I are buddies. He's a Lucchese guy now,
right?
So we got him hooked up and everything. We got him some boots, but no, he's been putting out some good music and stuff. And he's a Texas guy. My cousins own a podcast called Chasing Birdies, and they're buddies with him. That's how I kind of got introduced to him through before, you know, even hearing him on the radio and stuff like that. So
yeah, we've known George for a while now. Now he's got, I think, 2 #1 songs under his belt. So
yeah, Cowboy Song. I love that song.
Things are going well.
No, he's killing it. He's on tour with Parker doing that whole thing. Yeah, dude. So being on the radio, do you get a lot of requests for or like how does that work? Like, are people able to request in that, like, still, like, is that still a thing?
A little less, like, given the way that things are with our show since it's syndicated. So a lot of the music kind of has to be predetermined. Yeah, but not to get like too technical about it, but there's certain songs that will play on, you know, nationally, and then there's a lot of songs that will play locally that are all customizable for each.
Makes sense.
Station.
Yes.
So, and we'll do a lot of custom stuff for each specific station that we're on to and visit. Hopefully, you know, we're trying to visit more and more markets just to try to be a little bit more of a part of it.
For real.
Like, you know, checking out some of these festivals. Like we're on in Miami on Kiss Country, and so we go to Tortuga Music Festival every year. And so we're trying to work on visiting a little more. You know, we got a station in Washington, in Seattle, and they do, I think, Watershed, right? Yeah. And so that's one that we are trying to work our way into. Yeah, that's never been festival. Never been to Washington. State. I
just saw that ad today, actually. That looked like a great lineup.
I think the easiest way for people to get a hold of us now, obviously, is social media. Yeah. Like, you know, at Rob Stone Radio is my handle, or at Rob and Holly Show is the radio show. But I think that's the easiest way. I mean, there is a number that people can call in, but your chances are better to
Yeah.
DM us on Instagram probably.
Do you guys do like new artist segments or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, we basically dedicate a whole hour of our show to new music. So not the 9 o'clock hour. We're on 7 to midnight.
Yep.
On most stations. There's actually one that we're on in the afternoon. But yeah, we're always looking for the next, the next big thing. We try to focus on new artists every night.
Absolutely. So I got my question back that I was wanted to ask. So a lot of fans probably would love to know the answer to this. I'm very curious. So like when songs like I Had Some Help come out and stuff like that, right? Or just your big like Last Night by Morgan Wallen and stuff like that. How does it work that it plays 10 times a day or 20 times a day, Like is that a label thing or is that
It's I guess it's a kind of a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say when it comes to,
because it's not just like one specific radio station, right? It's all these radio stations across the U.S. you know?
I mean, when you listen and you feel like you're hearing the same stuff over and over again, the mentality is that the majority of listeners are not listening for hours and hours and hours at a time. And it's just like small groups that are coming and going and listening at different times. So it's like you might want to hear I Had Some Help in the morning on your way to work. Yeah. And so it's going to play then. And like another group of people that listen when you're at work, it's like, so it's like different groups of people coming and going at different times. You're playing
it for the time. You got it. Yeah.
Right. So it gets, and I think obviously everyone's dealt with that. Like when they're like, I've heard this song so many times.
Well, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they're some of the biggest artists, right? When Beer Never Broke My Heart came out by Luke Combs, loved that song at first, but by now I can't tell you how many times I've heard that song. Thousands.
Yeah, there's definitely there's the radio burnout type of thing.
Yeah.
But I've noticed. I feel like there's the same thing happens on streaming services now
absolutely.
Too.
Yes.
Like I literally started making my own playlist again, almost like it's like back in the day when we'd make mix CDs, but obviously you can make your own playlist. But I started getting into like tracks on albums that you don't hear, just because you do, you hear the singles on radio and on streaming, and you start to hear them the same ones over and over, which is, it helps the artist. Obviously, the more spins they get, the more successful they're going to get.
Yes.
But yeah, it's interesting though too, because you'll get that little bit of that burnout, if you will. But I see it happening on both sides. So sometimes there's like no escape. There's no escaping it.
So like when you you pre-record segments. That's kind of how radio works, and then you kind of play them all day in between songs. Is that something you do in studio? You do at your house? What's that like?
So it's radio magic. I like to say.
Yes. Give the deets.
Don't tell anyone don't tell everyone all of our secrets. But in 2020 when the pandemic happened, we were doing afternoons in Detroit, live on the air in the studio. And then when the pandemic happened, it was like everyone has to go home, and we kind of just had to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And we were sent a Rodecaster, like the console.
What we're using today.
Yeah, what you guys are using right now to do the podcast. So it's just a way to plug your mics in, and we just had to figure it out. So Holly, my co-host, and I, at first, we basically just researched how can we connect with each other and get this high quality audio when we're in different places. And there's services that do that over the internet, which is nice. And back then, it was before, like in 2020, we were using Skype to look at each other.
Skype, I haven't.
Isn't that funny?
Skype forever.
Like Skype was the thing, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, Zoom took over. But Skype was the thing at first. I remember we were trying to look at each other and talk to each other, but there was like a delay between the audio and the video. So at some point we just decided we don't need to look at each other anyways.
Yeah.
We don't need, we don't need to see each other the whole time. And then would just talk like you're on the phone, but it's high definition audio. And we started to, that's how we did the show. And it became the thing where it kind of had to be like done in like a pre-packaged deal, right? Yep. So it was like we'd do the whole thing, and then that kind of led to the show getting syndicated because we're able to put everything in a nice little package and go, here you go, and deliver it. And here you go. And you got a radio show. That's awesome. So that's kind of how it.
So was that, obviously that was a big adjustment going into the COVID year with, Skype. And
it was.
That whole thing.
It was a little weird.
Did you like it? Did you like being home?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I still work from home.
Yeah. So it changed your job a little bit.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I love it. I love it and I hate it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like there's some days where I'm like, this is great.
Absolutely.
I just, I wake up, go downstairs into the studio, do my thing. And there's other times where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I need to be out with people. So yeah, it's kind of up and down with that too. But, I will say like the first 6 months, I was in a closet, and then I was like just in a unfinished basement area. Like I'm next to the laundry machine. We're trying to do a show. Laundry things going on. I'm like, laundry's done. I mean, it's kind of funny in the beginning because we're
it's raw.
Yeah, we're all
true. It's
we're all in the same boat. So it was kind of that kind of stuff was funny. But I got to a point where I'm like, I think we're going to be doing this for a while.
Yeah.
So I decided to build a studio. So I built a room because I'm like, being in this unfinished basement is just depressing.
Yep.
So I built a room, and now I'm like, all right, this is nice. It's a nice little setup. And that's what we're doing. And we get out, enough. Like I said, we travel to other markets that we're on in. We go to these festivals. We're here in Nashville. So I feel like I get my fix, and playing shows too myself. So it's like I get my fix of being out and about and hanging out with people and doing the thing. And then it is also nice just to be able to work from my home studio.
Awesome. So would you say you come to Nashville like once a year, more than once a year? Like, how does that work for radio hosts? Like, are they constantly,
Well, for us, I would say it's at least twice a year for us because we do have that space, the Odyssey Studios at the Hard Rock.
Yeah. Go check it out.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're here for CMA Fest. We're here for CRS.
Yeah. CMA Fest is great.
Yeah.
Too.
And that's minimally, and then sometimes we'll be back for more. Like we do this event called Totally Private where we have artists come and play at the Hard Rock. And it's a contest that you win on the air where it's just you and like 9 of your buddies.
Yeah.
So that's why we call it Totally Private, because it's your group, 10 people total are going and like seeing Thomas Rhett like right in front of your face.
Wow.
So that's a cool event too. So we're down, like I said, probably at least 2-3 times a year for sure.
Wow. Yeah. So you love your job? You love what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, it was a kind of a goal for me to be here in Nashville at some point. But now I feel like the way that things are working and we're an hour flight away, it's like I can still be home with my family.
Yes.
Close, because my wife and me are both from Elmont, Romeo.
I love it.
And all our families are there, and we have a 5-year-old son, and it's like every year that he gets older, when I think about moving here, I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I don't want to take him away from all of his family.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it is great that the flight is only an hour. I love it. That's one of the best things about living here, is having that flight. But also, too, I think Detroit is on the come up. I've been saying this for the last 2 years or so, but I think that Detroit can almost have a Nashville-like scene. Not necessarily country music, but your rock, your soul, your Motown. We kind of have Greektown, obviously. That's a popular area, but I would love to see something like that to come to Detroit. I feel like the city would love it, but it would kind of give you a different side of what, a music town could be like besides Nashville.
Yeah. No, and we're trying. I mean, I feel like
you're a big help. Obviously,
myself and like a lot of my artist friends in town. Yeah. We're trying to like create this new center. Like, yeah, like you mentioned Motown. It's like we have in, you know, Detroit Rock City, we have this rich history of incredible artists that have come out of Detroit. And there's still, like, right, if you look at artists that come out of Detroit all the time, every few years, there's like somebody that's made it pretty big. So we're continuing to try to like just nurture that, right? And just, you know, let the younger generation know, like, hey, there's a space for this. And yes, Nashville is like the epicenter for it. It's Music City, but I still think that you can make it happen wherever you're from if you really want to.
You could have Big Sean, you could have Eminem opening up 3-story bars downtown Detroit, you know, Kid Rock, and that's the cool part. There's so many different genre of artists that are from Detroit, you know, and a lot of people don't know, like Ryan Hurd's another guy. He's a Michigan guy. You'd probably know a few more Michigan guys that are in country music, but I mean, you'd be surprised, you know, there's a lot of people that do come out of Michigan in general that are just very influential or have a massive presence in the music scene.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, I kind of battle it too, because I'm like, I'm sure on the music side of things, it would benefit me more. Sometimes I think it would benefit me more if I was here in Nashville, just being surrounded by it more, going out and doing these writers rounds and things like that. But I also think,
you're creating,
you know, there's
something,
not,
dude. You're creating
there's,
something.
yeah, there's not always one way to do things. And I've seen it from a handful of artists as well. And we had this conversation recently with Charles Wesley Godwin.
Yes, big loud guy. Yep.
So he basically, I don't think he ever actually, I don't know if he was here maybe for a short amount of time or if he never was, but I feel like I remember having a conversation of where he was like, I decided to stay in, was it West Virginia possibly, where he's from?
Yeah, no, that sounds right. Absolutely.
And he's just like, I've just felt like there's more than one way to do things. Like everyone says you have to be here, but he's a guy who has proven that you don't have to be. You can just pop in and out sometimes, like we're doing.
Yeah.
But obviously I know, like, it's coming here and walking around and walking into every single bar and hearing the best talent. I mean, every place you walk into, you're like, what?
Yeah, what?
Like, it's insane. So it is very inspirational.
Yeah.
So definitely come here, come to Nashville, experience it. But I think, especially like for me, as you know, I have a career established. I have other career goals here. So on the music side, I want to be able to make it work where I can be at home with my family still.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Well, it's a great story. And I just want to say I appreciate you coming on today. It's been a pleasure. And obviously growing up, listening to you, like we said, it's so cool, dude. Thanks. I really appreciate you making the time to,
of course,
while you're here in Nashville, out of all places, to come and hang out.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, well, Podunk Perspective, go check out Rob Stone, the best country radio host in Detroit and Michigan. He is the man. Go check out his social media. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.